Hello and welcome to the video for Tuesday, April the 28th. This is going to be for 6th grade covering our new lesson, working with data collection. So in our previous lesson, we were working with asking statistical questions based on sets of data. And so we are kind of taking the set of data and either gathering it or we are taking it and figuring out how we are going to talk about it. So for instance, for the unlock the problem, we can describe a set of data by stating the number of observations or measurements that were made. Another way would be by listing the attributes, which is a property or characteristic, such as the color or length. And so, for instance, for this particular picture, we have different colors of gem. We also have different masses, which would be the unit of measurement. And so we may ask what we're measuring. So in this case, we're not just measuring the color. We could have done that, but the data that we have suggests that we were working with the mass. Unit of measurement, we would have the grams for that. Likely means by which the measurements were made. We probably used a scale or a balance. And then the number of observations. And so we have a set of 12 that we would have for that. So I probably wanted the black pen instead of the red one. So I'm going to put a balance for this one. I've kind of already given the answers as I'm kind of explaining, which is fine. The unit we used to measure the mass was a gram, because that's what we typically use, either grams or kilograms for mass. And then the attribute we measured was the mass. And so we could also take a look at like the shape, and we could make comparisons of the shapes between different ones or the different colors and so forth. So for Sharon's show, one of these questions, number 3, I'm going to ask you to do something on your own. I'm going to give an example that you can follow to try for yourself, but I'm going to give a different one based on my situation that may not apply for you guys. So for number 1, we are describing the data using the attribute measured. So the attribute that we are measuring is basically the speed. So we are working with speed or time. So the time that it takes to run it in relation to his speed. The unit of measurement would be seconds. Now, if we wanted to get really particular, we could even change that unit of measurement. If we wanted to see which one the quickest one was, we could also use meters per second as a point of comparison or unit of measurement as well. So going back to when we were doing that towards the beginning of the year. But we're going to focus specifically on seconds for the time. Likely means by which the measurements were taken. We could say stopwatch. I'm just going to abbreviate that SW. And the number of observations, we have 7. So let's think about what the questions could be for number 2. I don't remember if I gave you guys this one, but I think I did because number 3 is kind of one that we are not going to be able to represent on this particular piece of paper that you're going to turn into me. So number 2, the Adams family, or Andrew's family's water use. So we have, first of all, what attribute we are doing volume. And we are measuring that in gallons. So likely means by which the measurements were taken would be a meter, specifically a water meter. We are not going to take the amount of water that they used for various things and put them into a container and then try to use that to figure it out. We have water meters and electric meters to help with that kind of measurement. The number of observations, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 measurements. So for number 3, what they want us to do is collect data on one of these topics. And you may wish to work with other students. Obviously, if you are in a situation where you can text or call, you guys can work together as a group. I'm perfectly fine with that. And you guys can pull resources. So if people decide that they want to do weight of these kind of objects that you might find in a kitchen, and some of you have soup cans, some of you have boxes of cereal or other things, and have the ability to measure those for the weight. Again, if you're trying to use a home scale, like the one that you would weigh yourself on, it needs to probably be a large enough object that you can start by measuring yourself without it, and then yourself holding it to figure out what the difference is. But if it's something small, let's say this particular remote that goes to one of my TVs I use as a computer monitor, this is probably not going to weigh enough to give me any noticeable difference in weight. Whereas if I were to take this bag of chips, also probably not going to do very much for me, but a large box of cereal or a can of soup or something like that. Sometimes they even give you the amount of the weight on the box. So it may give you a certain measurement as far as the capacity of what was put in there. But a lot of those items are also measured by weight. So a box of cereal may have like 1.5 pounds, and you can find that in ounces given, dry ounces given on the box, and they could be referring to weight. So just kind of a thought about what you could do for that. I would say I would probably do the number of pages in books because that is really easy for me. Just outside of the camera, behind me and to my left, I have an entire bookcase, which is one of, I forget how many that we have in this apartment, including the closet that is actually even further to the left behind me. That closet is completely filled with books because of the way the shelving units work. We turned that into kind of like our little closet library kind of deal. We've got hundreds of books in there, plus different bookshelves and so forth. So it would be really easy for me to find a set of books and just kind of start writing down the number of pages that I have in each book. And then I could ask statistical questions about those things. So let's take a look at our homework questions really quick. I'm going to give you an example of what we're working with. So if we look at the homework example, you can kind of do what I did, take each line and write out the different things. So the attribute would be like the height, and it's going to match the title of our table that's going to give the data. So measurement, again, going to be given in the title. Means of measurement, we're old enough that we should probably be able to at least give a reasonable guess for that, if not get it completely correct, because you guys have been doing science fair for quite a while. And then the number of observations are just going to be the number of things you see in the table. So for 2 and 4 and 6, actually for 6 they just want the unit of measurement, which they give as a unit rate there. 1 and 2 on the back, the attribute would be the thing that this particular table is giving information about. And then this one would be the number of observations. So I really think the homework part for this will be quite simple for everyone to be able to do without any problems. Actually, that closet is on camera. I see it right behind me. The bookshelf that's hidden by my chair that I'm sitting in is not. So I hope you guys don't have any serious issues with understanding this. I think this is something you guys can probably do without any help from a video. But just in case you need the help, here's what we were talking about for today. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask in Google Classroom, and I'll be happy to answer those for you. The homework video for this will come out on Wednesday, and then office hours for your class will also be on Wednesday, and then we'll have a new lesson on Thursday. So hope you have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.